Welcome to the channel, Bible Reflections. Ancient Truth, Living Hope. Today we continue our journey through the Gospel of John. In part 3, we step into the very heart of Jesus' final days on earth, covering chapters 11 through 17. These chapters are incredibly intimate. They show us a Jesus who is preparing his closest friends for the unimaginable events to come. The central theme here is love, a love that serves, sacrifices, and secures a future for all who believe. We begin in John chapter 11 with one of the most powerful miracles in the entire Bible, the raising of Lazarus. Jesus' dear friend is dead and has been in the tomb for 4 days. His sisters, Mary and Martha, are overcome with grief. When Jesus finally arrives, Martha expresses her faith but also her sorrow. It is here that Jesus makes one of the most profound statements about his identity. In John 11 verse 25, he declares, "I am the resurrection and the life." This isn't just a promise for the future. It's a declaration of who he is right now. He then stands before the tomb and calls Lazarus out. This incredible act isn't just about bringing a man back from the dead. It's a demonstration of his complete authority over death itself, and a tender display of his compassion for human sorrow. He weeps with those who weep, even though he knows he holds the power to reverse their loss. From this incredible display of life, we move to John chapter 12, where the shadow of the cross begins to loom large. Jesus makes his triumphal entry into Jerusalem. The crowds are cheering, waving palm branches, hailing him as a king. But Jesus understands that his path to glory is not through earthly power but through sacrifice. He uses a simple, profound analogy to explain this. In John 12 verse 24, he says, "Except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone, but if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. He is that grain of wheat." His death is not a defeat, it is the necessary step for bringing forth an eternal harvest of life for all humanity. This chapter contrasts the world's idea of a king with the reality of the king who must die to save his people. The scene then shifts to the quiet intimacy of the upper room in John chapter 13. This is one of the most moving moments in Jesus' ministry. As they prepare for the Passover meal, Jesus, the Son of God, does something unthinkable. The Bible tells us in John 13 verse 4, he took a towel and girded himself. He then proceeds to wash the dirty feet of his disciples, a job reserved for the lowest of servants. Peter is shocked and he objects, but Jesus is teaching a radical lesson in servant leadership. He tells them in verse 15, "For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you." True greatness in his kingdom is not found in being served, but in serving. Love isn't about position or title, it's about humble, selfless action. As the Last Supper continues, the atmosphere becomes heavy. Jesus reveals that one of them will betray him, and the disciples are bewildered. After Judas leaves to carry out his dark plan, Jesus gives them a new, defining command. In John 13 verse 34, he says, "A new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another, as I have loved you." This isn't just a friendly suggestion, it's the core identity of his followers. How will the world recognize them? He explains in the very next verse, "By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, if ye have love one to another." This radical, self-sacrificing love is to be their distinguishing mark, the living proof of their connection to him. Jesus knows his disciples are confused and afraid. He can see the storm of anxiety gathering in their hearts. So in John chapter 14, he offers them words of profound comfort and assurance. He begins with, "Let not your heart be troubled." He promises them a future and a hope, saying in John 14 verse 2, "In my Father's house are many mansions. I go to prepare a place for you." He is not abandoning them. He is securing their eternal home. When Thomas asks how they can possibly know the way, Jesus gives another of his iconic "I am" statements. In John 14 verse 6, he declares, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father, but by me." He is not just a guide who points the way, he is the way itself. And he promises he won't leave them as orphans. He will send the Holy Spirit, the Comforter, who will dwell with them and in them forever. This leads us into John chapter 15, where Jesus uses the beautiful imagery of a vine and its branches to explain their new relationship with him. He is the true vine, and they are the branches. Their entire spiritual life, their ability to do anything of lasting value, depends on being connected to him. He says in John 15 verse 5, "He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit, for without me ye can do nothing." Abiding means staying connected, drawing life, strength, and purpose from Him. This connection is what produces the fruit of love and obedience. It's not about striving in our own strength. It's about resting and remaining in His. Jesus is realistic. He doesn't paint a picture of an easy life. In John chapter 16, He warns them plainly that the world will hate them and that they will face severe trials. He wants them to be prepared so that their faith will not be shaken when hardship comes. He speaks of sorrow, but a sorrow that will turn to joy, like a woman in labor who rejoices once her child is born. The chapter builds to a powerful climax of encouragement. In John 16 verse 33, He gives them this incredible promise. These things I have spoken unto you, that in me you might have peace. In the world thou shalt have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. Their peace is not based on their circumstances, but on His victory. Finally, in John chapter 17, we are invited to listen in on the most sacred of moments. Jesus prays. This is often called the high priestly prayer. He's no longer speaking to His disciples. He is speaking to His Father about them. First, He prays for Himself, that the Father would glorify Him so He can complete His work. Then, He prays for His disciples who are with Him in that room. He asks the Father to protect them, to sanctify them in the truth, and to keep them united. But then, He does something extraordinary. He looks down through the corridors of time and prays for us, for all who would ever believe in Him through the disciples' message. His great desire for us is unity. In John 17 verse 21, He prays, that they all may be one, that the world may believe that Thou hast sent me. Our unity is meant to be a powerful testimony to a watching world. So, what's the ultimate takeaway from these chapters? We see the one who is God in the flesh, the very Word who was with God in the beginning, kneeling to wash dirty feet. We see Him loving His friends to the very end. Even the one who would betray Him. He prepares His people for the reality of suffering, but doesn't leave them without hope. He promises His own divine presence through the Holy Spirit. And in His final hours before the cross, what does He do? He prays for us. This is not some distant, abstract deity. This is personal, sacrificial, all-encompassing love. This is the heart of God, laid bare for all to see. Thank you for joining me for this deep dive into John chapters 11 to 17. I hope it has been as moving for you as it has been for me. If this blessed you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message of love. We'll see you next time as we walk with Jesus to the cross in the final part of our series. The scriptures quoted are from the King James Version of the Bible. Thanks for watching.